Dallas on air. 17 years of real talk, real stories, and real Dallas. From the heart of Texas to the ears of the world. This is Dallas on air.
You tune it in to Funky Disposition, where menopause meets the mood swings. Real talk and good vibes. Hope, hot flashes, cold truths. It's a funky ride. Let's talk menopause and take it all in stride.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to Funky Disposition, Menopause Moods, where we are always talking about the moods of menopause. And today's mood we're going to talk about is weight gain. Weight gain in the stomach, weight gain just in the whole body, weight gain. And so today, I first want to always thank God for giving me this idea to put this podcast together to be able to bless people, to be able to help people with whatever that we can be able to help them with, and be able to just bring awareness to menopause and andropause, where people can know that you don't have to be ashamed or anything. It's just, hey, part of natural life and part of the body. So I just want to thank God for giving me this idea. And without Him, I'll be nothing. And without Him, I will fail. So, with that being said, I always say that I am not a physician. I am just here to just bring information. But today, I do have a physician on here. So, you could either consult her or consult with your own physician. And I'm just going to introduce, I have Dr. Terrellyn Scott Winful, and I'm going to get her to introduce herself to us. Just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So yes, as you said, I am a gastroenterologist and bariatrician. So I take care of patients that have digestive conditions, but also those who would like to be healthier through weight loss.
Yes, y'all. She gonna be able to get our bodies down and help us with this, especially with this mental stomach. Oh,
Mental stomach. It's funny. It reminds me, I had a patient who named her little roll, and she named it like Lisa or something. And I was like, don't name it. Then it'll never go away.
Oh no, I know. I call mine Michelin Man.
Oh, my goodness. All right. That's funny. So the one thing I always try to say is that I would like to help patients be healthy inside and out. And so I was initially a gastroenterologist, but there's a number of digestive conditions that improve with weight loss. And so I felt that I was just not able to fully help my patients, except for saying, hey, you have acid reflux, so, you need to lose weight. But I couldn't tell them how, or fatty liver, or there's a number of cancers that are GI cancers that are associated with having obesity or excess weight. And so about 6 years ago, I did training to get an additional board certification in obesity medicine. And this is a field that, as far as getting a board certification, it's pretty new. Only in the past, I want to say 17 to 18 years, have physicians been able to do either a fellowship or training on their own to be certified in helping patients lose weight with evidence-based practices.
Wow. Man, that is so cool. That is cool. Wow.
It's really fun.
Man.
It's really fun because, there's so much weight bias in our society, and not only lay persons, but also even in the medical field. And so as part of my training, I had to, number one, address the bias that I have because it's just ingrained, because even though somewhere upwards of 42% of people in this country have obesity. That number is declining with the new highly active weight loss medications, but during my initial training back in 2019, the number from the CDC was that we had 42% of people in this country have obesity, and then another 28% have had overweight. So you're talking about approximately 3/4 of the society with excess weight, but yet we're still weight biased. And so I also like to tell patients that my office and any person who is trained in weight management is a safe place to lose weight, because society is not safe sometimes for patients who have obesity.
Wow. So you said there are you can get 3 or 4 different cancers from obesity?
No, actually, you can't get them from it. It's association.
Okay,
By that I
okay.
mean, like, if you look at the risk factors for, and I'll just go from top to bottom. So, breast cancer is associated with obesity, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, gallbladder cancer, I want to say ovarian cancer too. There's a number of esophageal cancer, gastric cancer, a number of cancers that have obesity as one of the risk factor. Not getting it from it, but it's a risk factor, and so you're able to improve your risk of cancer for a number of cancers with weight loss. And sometimes in my practice, I have some patients who are actively being treated for cancer, and their oncologists will send them to me to help with weight management, because that's part of their cancer treatment. It's like getting your chemotherapy, whatever it is, but also helping them to lose weight.
Oh, wow. Wow. So y'all, our health really goes hand in hand. I mean, it's very important for us to keep ourselves together from top to bottom. Weight does do a lot to us. When you're overweight, I know people kind of, shy away from that, but being overweight, it really does cause a lot of problems. I lost a lot of weight, and before that, standing on my feet, it was just killing me. And that was just because being overweight. And now, since I have lost the weight, it makes a big, big difference. So, wow, that is some very good information. Thank you for that. You all, as we're asking questions, if you all have any questions for Dr. Scott Winful, please call in and feel free to ask your questions. So, we're going to get started. From a bariatric perspective, what is it about menopause that contribute to stubborn weight gain, especially around the belly?
So when you think about menopause, it is 3 phases. There's going to be perimenopause, as the ovaries are starting to stop producing as much estrogen. So that's going to start changing a woman's cycle. And so no one remembers how they felt before they even had a period, but it's long ago. But there's this whole revving up when you go through puberty. Then you have this cyclical event, if things work correctly, that is. You don't have like PCOS or other things, but you have this event that occurs almost once a month for decades, right? Say for having children or other things that might stop your menstrual cycle. And then the life puts the brakes on this cyclical hormonal event that happened for so long, and you don't really miss it until you know it's gone. And so when you actually stop having periods and stop having that robust estrogen production in a cyclical fashion, it had not having estrogen is or as much of it is an inflammatory condition. It also produces insulin resistance. And so that's when your body doesn't respond to insulin like it should. And that is one thing that can start contributing to the stubborn weight gain. But check this out. I was thinking about this before the podcast about like, how could I be able to explain that in another way? I love analogies. And so I think of menopause kind of like quicksand that you can't avoid. So, so if you know where the quicksand is, then you try to skirt around it or you prepare for it. So if you know that you're walking in this minefield, not minefield, quicksand, maybe you will tell somebody. You put a rope around yourself so if you get fall, you can get pulled out. So the best way that I can say about preparing for these changes, specifically weight changes that occur with menopause, is if you're not currently in it, you got to prepare for it. And that's going to be a number of things I'm going to circle back to. But for those of us, and I say us because I'm in menopause, who are in it, it's recognizing it and acting and getting help. So when it comes to that weight gain, that's because we have habits that no longer serve us. And what are those? What are those habits? That's going to be not exercising, because not exercising is a habit just like exercising. Working our muscles is a way that we can fight the insulin resistance of menopause. Our muscles is one of the major organ groups that dispositions our glucose. And when there's an excess of that, because we're snacking on M&Ms or having bread or alcohol, and you mix in that newfound insulin resistance of menopause, all of a sudden you got a gut and you didn't have that. And so what you can try to do is change your habits. So if you're not already exercising, then you gotta start doing that. If your diet is not fitting you as far as having too many carbohydrates, when I say that bread, not enough protein, then you can change that. And what that can do is probably stop the weight gain. However, losing weight is a whole different thing because it's uncomfortable to eat differently and eat less. So you kind of have to be really, really honest with yourself about your habits and how you've gotten here. Because habits are things that we do on repeat without even thinking about them. And so, or not do, because not exercising is a habit too. So basically, when a woman in menopause looks up and she's like, where did this tire come from? My clothes don't fit. I feel like this. It's like, well, you got to stop and say, what are my habits? And then by understanding what your habits are and then understanding how different habits can give you different outcome, you can begin to get out the quicksand. And sometimes it could be as simple as, oh, I realize that I'm having too much bread and pasta. You change that. Maybe your belt can be tightened a little bit more. But in some cases, in some patients, depending on how severe their obesity is and how severe their problem is, it may require medical intervention. And that's when some, patients may decide to be on medications, not just for weight loss, but to address their menopause, because some women need to supplement their hormones in order to not have all of the severe symptoms of menopause, because weight gain can be one, but there is memory loss, there is irritability, problems with sleeping, and then all of the other effects that estrogen has as far as helping with our bones, helping with the cardiovascular issues. And so I think we kind of focus on weight because we can see it, but there's a whole bunch of other things going on that are important to be aware of, how we can't just flop in. You kind of flop into puberty because it just happens to you. And it's like, oh, okay. But then you kind of have to prepare for menopause. And then if you're in it, get help to kind of reconstitute yourself so that you can I don't want to say fight menopause, but you can get out the quicksand, and instead of sinking in it, you can kind of dog paddle. You can swim in it. You can kind of lay there instead of sinking.
Oh God. Well, yeah, we don't want to sink, y'all. We really don't want to sink. We just want to float on through. Okay. So, how do hormonal changes during menopause affect metabolism and fat storage?
So kind of similarly, what I just said before, as far as when your ovaries, when they start producing hormones, it's not only estrogen and progesterone, it's also testosterone. So it's all of them. And so basically, if you are losing those, so not having estrogen can lead to insulin resistance, which can down the line start with getting the belly fat. Having decreased testosterone, that affects metabolism, affects your muscles and what have you. So basically, everything is starting to slow down. It can be counteracted, but you kind of have to prepare for it. I wish that there's more talk about menopause now, I would say, in the past maybe 3 to 5 years than there has been in a long time, because of just awareness of it. And I guess with the generations, potentially with Generation X and so forth, that people are more proactive. I know that I can remember my mother having hot flashes and going through things, and it was kind of like, okay, that's something for old people. But now I'm kind of like, how come she didn't tell me anything? And it's more so you just don't talk about it.
Yes.
So so I kind of went in a circle there, but basically it's the slowing down. So you can consider puberty as the revving up, and then this is more of the slowing down. One thing too, I think, if you think about our society and our evolution over the past century, I mean, our lifespans are longer than they used to be. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I'll be 53 next month.
Yay.
Hey, girl, hey. But, maybe a century ago or even more, life expectancy was maybe like in the 40s. So not that women weren't spending a whole lot of time in menopause because of, dying from infection or whatever you were dying from, exposure, what have you. So women are spending more time in menopause.
Yes.
And so we are seeing more of the effects because women are spending more time in it. And so that's how we're studying it more, because so many women are spending more time in it. Before, again, over a century ago, when life expectancies were less, you didn't never, maybe you spend a couple, maybe you spend a couple of years in it and then you die from something bad. But now it's like, oh no, if you're going to live to be 80, 85, you're going to spend 40 years in menopause. It's a long time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if a person, I know you said if their testosterone is lower, that it can affect with weight.
So it more so affecting your muscle building. So and I wouldn't say it's directly metabolism, because metabolism is very it is very complicated. A lot of things will feed into it. So I'm just saying it's a part of the puzzle. So you think about metabolism, you think about your ability to burn calories and what's burning calories. So part of that is thyroid. Part of that is going to be your muscles. And so when I alluded to muscles, it's more so because you need to have both. You need to have estrogen and progesterone, as well as testosterone and like DHEA. All those muscles, hormones work together. So men have, in general, more testosterone, but they produce estrogen as well.
Correct.
And they do as well. And so women, it's kind of a little bit less. And so basically, it's the pieces of the puzzle. So when all of the pieces of the puzzle starts to fade away, it's kind of like, wait, so I'm still left with this body that is not functioning how it did before, when you were getting that wonderful cyclical every month surges of estrogen and you had testosterone on a regular basis. And when you're missing it, it's kind of like, wait, how come I don't have libido, or how come I get the weight gain? How come my muscle mass is decreasing? So it's important to understand that it's inevitable, but it doesn't mean that you have to suffer because of it.
Okay. Okay. So if a person's testosterone is higher, just say in a woman, um, how does that affect?
So when women are producing excess androgens, so testosterone, that would be a concern of having a condition like PCOS or something where they're producing too much or the balance of it is too much. And so that would not be subtle because potentially they would have problems with their periods or have male pattern hair growth, getting a beard or mustache, or there's a specific male pattern like on the chest or lower abdomen. So that's not subtle. And so when women potentially have additional hair when they're getting into menopause, it's not because they're producing excess androgen or testosterone. It's more so because they have decreased estrogen that's not counteracting it.
Yeah.
So they're able to grow more hair. I know, right? Thank God for electrolysis. Hey.
This is why we get this hair on our chin. We walk around here with a goatee. I don't like it.
And a little soul patch. And
Man,
a little,
yes. I refuse just to mess with my mustache, so I'm just whatever. I'm keeping my mustache. But this here, it got to go. It got to go because anyway, whenever I try to get this wax, y'all, I look like a duck. So I'm not gonna mess with it. But this here, it got to go. It has to go. So your estrogen and your testosterone is just not at an even level. So that's what just causing all that hair.
Yeah, it's
being hairy.
Exactly, it's just the imbalances, and even like when the teenagers, I'm going back and forth between puberty and menopause because they're like opposite ends of the spectrum.
Correct.
So the androgens and the surges that are experienced when I'm saying girls are getting into puberty and having periods, that's going to be where they have the acne and those kind of things. But when you flip it over on the other end, it's more so like, oh, the hair where you don't want it to grow because one of the many signs of menopause is actually things drying up.
Yes.
And so oversharing now, but I'll share with you.
Okay.
So
She's sharing, y'all.
Last year I got eczema, and I'm like, what the what? And so all my life I suffered with acne when I was a teenager, and then going into my 20s and 30s when I was pregnant. I'm like, am I ever gonna not have acne? And the answer is yes, because once I went through menopause, my skin dried up. And so I haven't had a pimple, I don't know how long, but I had eczema. And I was like, why do I have eczema on my face? And so my dermatologist told me, that's one of the signs of menopause. So I'm like, are you kidding me? And so I had to wait 50 years or whatever to not have acne, but now I have eczema. So again, those changes and not having estrogen is pro-inflammatory, and so one of the things is that skin dries up, gets inflamed, and now I'm on medication for that. And speaking of menopause, I'm having a hot flash. So
get your
I got my
fan, girl.
fan.
Get your
Okay, this
fan.
is like probably my 5th or 6th fan, but man, I got fans. I got analog fans where you do like this, and then I have this fan. I have a neck fan. It's awesome. I have fans that I all over the house. I'm not even ashamed because it's like, hey, listen, we're talking about this.
Oh gosh.
Oh, excuse me. Is this bothering the sound? Hope not.
Look, I think it might be good.
Okay, cool.
Look,
All
fan
right.
away, girl. Fan away.
Say, yes. And see, I have a little eyeball on it. I see you.
Girl, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with her. Hey, so next, what types of? Because I was gonna ask you this other one, but I think you kind of cover it. But I ask it anyway. Is menopause weight gain more about hormones, age, or lifestyle, or a mix of all three?
It's a mix of all three. So the hormonal aspect is you can't really stop it from happening. You can address it if you are a candidate for hormone replacement. Not everyone is, because depending on like risk factors for various cancers, you may not, specifically breast cancer or uterine, you may not be a candidate for it. But if you talk to your healthcare provider about your risk, and there actually are physicians that specialize in menopause, and they can either be internists, they can be gynecologists, where they help women with the changes and can assess your risk of being on hormone replacement, and so you can address that. So that's the hormonal portion of it. The lifestyle issue, that's something you definitely can be in charge of. And by that I mean before it happens. Because menopause, the average age is 51, and symptoms occur up to or start occurring up to 10 years beforehand. So a woman who's 41 may start having irregular periods, all kind of this, that, and the other, but you can have things going on for at least 10 years before you actually have a period. So you can prepare for that. So what the preparation look like? It looks like, oh, I'm going to cut down or stop my alcohol use. I'm going to, not eat so much sugar.
Yes.
I'm going to exercise and lift weights. Lifting weight not gonna hurt you. I'm going to, deal with my stress and my sleep. So you can prepare for it, but like I said before, you can either prepare for this quicksand or you can get help getting out of it. Those are the two options.
Okay. Okay. So, what types of nutritional changes do you recommend for women or men going through menopause or andropause to help manage their weight?
The first thing is cutting out alcohol. I did it myself because really no redeeming qualities. But the main thing that I want to say is this: with alcohol, it is really considered a macronutrient. When you talk about like how we can divide up our nutrition, protein is really important. Carbohydrates are not really that important, but your brain and your muscles like to use it. Fat is not bad, especially good fats like avocados or olive oil, nuts. It's good because it helps to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. So you need to have some fat in your diet. And we need to actually have some fat in our bodies. Insulation insulates our nerve sheaths. It's cushioning. If you didn't have some cushion for your backside, then sitting down on any kind of chair would hurt. So you got to have a little bit of adipose, that's fat. And then alcohol is actually a macronutrient. And it's a double whammy because when your body sees it, it will burn that, and it shuts down lipolysis. Lipolysis is the breakdown of fat. So when you drink alcohol regularly, your body is not going to be able to, or it will not break down fat like it should. So if someone's trying to manage their weight or lose weight and you drink alcohol regularly, you're going to have a hard time doing that. One. Two, not eating too many carbohydrates. So that's going to be chips and bread, rice, pasta, because when you eat protein, it's broken down into amino acids, and then your body will take those amino acids and build protein wherever you need it in your body. Hair, skin, nails, antibodies, enzymes, whatever you need to have muscle, it will do that. When you consume fat, it's broken down into fatty acids, and then your body will take that and store it or use it for insulation, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to carbohydrates, it's special because with carbohydrates, you only need a certain amount to take you from one meal to the other. So your muscles need a certain amount. You can store some in your liver. Your brain is going to use what it's going to use. So if you consume more carbohydrate than your body needs at that moment or can store, it is stored as fat. So the idea is to only eat the amount of carbohydrates that you need to get you from until the next meal. So if you consistently eat more than you can store, it's going to be stored as fat. Or if you eat too soon, if your body hasn't burned down the carbohydrates that you just consumed and you eat again, then it's not going to have time to burn that down. So that'll be stored as fat as well. So the second thing is to look at your carbohydrate intake and try to decrease the decrease the excess carbohydrates, really processed carbohydrates. And the next nutritional advice that I have is make sure you're getting enough protein because if you don't, so already you're going to, over time, we lose muscle mass, and that's part of aging. But it doesn't have to be as dramatic as it is in some people who are not exercising, and what have you. So it's important to eat enough protein because that's going to help mitigate the muscle loss. So avoid alcohol, watch your processed carbohydrates, and eat enough protein. Those are if you do those things, it will go a long way in your nutrition as you enter into menopause or andropause.
So it's the carb protein ratio. Does that depends on each person? Is it different for each person, or is there a certain number?
So that's different for each person, and really how you manage your nutrition. It's there's no one good way. It's basically what is it that you can do on a regular basis? Like, what is it that you can do to manage your carbohydrates? So it may be different for different people. Speaking of carbohydrates, a lot of people are like into doing keto diets. I'm not really a fan for long term because it's just so hard to maintain. So, like writing down what you're consuming will help somebody realize, oh, I'm actually getting 250 grams a day because I'm eating this, that, and the other. And it may be that you really only need about 100 grams. If I'm trying to get a patient to lose weight and maintain, I usually say you really want to try to keep your carbohydrates between about 75 to 100. That allows you to occasionally have some bread or eat a potato, but it's going to keep you from having a whole bunch of chips and cups and cups of rice because it's going to be too many carbohydrates. And so it's important to understand that carbs are plentiful and they are cheap, but they're really expensive because when it's around your waist and on your thighs because you ate too many of them and it was stored as fat, then it's not really worth it.
So, ladies, gentlemen, watch your carbs. What you say, complex carbs?
Well, actually, watching the carbohydrates that are simple ones,
Simple
like
carbs.
bread, simple carbs. So complex are actually better. That's going to be like in your vegetables, but simple carbs, things that are processed.
Okay.
So if it doesn't occur naturally in creation, then it's processed. Because I've never seen a bread tree. I have never seen a chip bush.
I wish it was a bread tree.
Okay, there's a bread tree. There's no pasta vines. Okay, but there are fruit trees. There are berry bushes.
Yes.
So if it does not exist in creation, you got to figure out how much of that am I going to have. Now I'm going to say right now I don't avoid. I mean I like a nice granola. Today we went shopping for groceries and I did get some bread for toast for my kids in the morning time. So, but that's a part of their meal and it helps them get calories because they're athletes and stuff. But I think it's different when my kids they're all teenagers, so they're very metabolically active. But as we age through time, our nutrition needs change. Right. So when you can get away with having a lot of carbohydrates when you're a kid, and then your 20s, and then when you're childbearing, you need those extra calories because you're having a baby. But once you're not doing those things, kind of I gotta look and see, how many calories do I really need? How many based on your activity, and how many carbohydrates do I really need? And so I have some patients that all they do is eat carbs. I'm like, where's your protein? Oh, I'm like, you gotta go back to becoming, I don't want to say a carnivore. You can get protein from beans or nuts or what have you. There's ways to get around that, but it's really important to get the protein because without that, you're not gonna have building blocks to make muscle. Okay. And that's really important to have muscle as you're going into menopause and really going into like your senior years. It's really important to have muscle and be strong, and you can't do it without having protein and lifting weights.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So as you heard it, creation made food is a lot better for you. Sorry, we don't have a bread tree, y'all. Like
There are
she
no
just
bread
said,
trees.
It's not a bread tree. I wish it was. So I love bread, y'all. But I have to stay away from bread because it is not my friend. So, is there any ingredients that will worsen weight gain during menopause? I know we covered some foods, but is there any certain ingredients?
It's no, mostly just to process things. Process these highly palatable foods that have a lot of calories. That's as far as you can get. I'm sure people have seen this on where you can look at a plate and you can see what 100 calories of whole foods looks like compared to processed foods. And so I think it's the main thing is just like ain't those processed foods that have a lot of calories. You need to kind of shy away from that and get back over to where you have mostly things that are whole foods that are, made from creation that are naturally occurring. Because the processed things, that should be a small amount of what you're eating.
Okay.
So you kind of have to change that. You might get away with it when you're younger. You got to flip that script over, and as we age, make sure that our nutrition is the highest quality food we can possibly have.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So how important, and you covered this some, how important is strength training or resistant exercise during this stage of life?
It's everything. It is everything because it's a way to disposition glucose.
Yeah.
It's a way to fight the insulin resistance of menopause, and it's also important to for your metabolism. It's so important, and it's not that hard. Okay. By that I mean the simplest way I can put it, and you can like Google this. You got to do push movements, pull movements, and things where you're hinging. But just think about like what are the activities that I want to do, as I age, and so you got to train for that. I'm a fan of, or I don't say fan, but I've read Outlive by Peter Attia. He's a big longevity expert, and I kind of drank the Kool-Aid because it's like, hey, I want to live to be 100. And he talks about the centenarian decathlon, like all the things that you want to do when you're 100 years old. And so you cannot cram for physical fitness. And you can't cram for it. You got to prepare for it all along.
Correct.
And so one of those preparations is strength training. But it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to go to a gym. You have to decide that you're going to do it. And so some of the things that people can do are the primal movements. Again, push movements, push up, chest press, pull movements, things that you use your lower body. And if you have an injury, you just don't work that muscle group or that joint. If you can't stand up, you sit down. But there's really no excuse for not doing something to move your muscles, and anything is better than nothing at all. So if it's walking, do that because that's good weight bearing for like your bones and what have you. If you, I like to, my patients who I have a balance problem. I'm like, you can sit in your chair and do jumping jacks. I'm gonna show you. I love chair jacks. I love doing these little chair jacks like this.
Okay.
You can march in place. You can use anything for resistance bands. You can do not muscles. You can do dumbbells, anything. And so it's just really important because that is how you're going to train to be 100 years old and still able to get your own groceries, or be able to, fix your own food, or be able to sweep your own porch or whatever it is. And so it's not just about I said before, we're in menopause for a longer period of time because we're living longer.
Right.
But it's not just about living longer, that's your lifespan. It's also about health span, and that's living well and being as healthy as you can be during your longer lifespan that you're spending in menopause.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is awesome. Okay. So get on that strength training, get on the resistant training. It doesn't have to be just big, heavy amount of weight or anything like that. It's just, as you say, the push, the pull, things that you know that you're going to be doing, or like pushing, you got to close the door, do whatever training that you need to do to close the door, do whatever training you need to do to, you got to pick up something. So you're doing something like what is it? The
Upright rows?
Yes, for when you're picking up. So just try those little things out. It'll help a lot. If you don't have weights, use cans. Cans. They have enough weight to it. And when I say cans like your vegetables. Use vegetables. You can use them as dumbbells. You can find a lot of things that you can use around the house as resistance and weight training. So that is very good. That is very, very good. When would you consider bariatric support or intervention for a menopausal woman or man struggling with weight gain?
So, whenever they're ready for it, really. But I'll tell you this. So, there are some guidelines, I should say, on like when someone is a candidate for medical intervention. When I say medical intervention, that includes like medication and surgery. So, if someone, and this goes for anyone who's experiencing this, but we're talking about menopause. So, for a menopausal man or woman, or I guess that's andropause, I guess.
Correct.
For a man or woman, if you have a body mass index of 27.5 and at least one health-related condition like diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, that you are a candidate for medications. If you have a BMI of 30 or above, you're a candidate for medications to help you to lose weight. And then if someone has a BMI of 35 and they have medical problems such as diabetes, heart disease, they're a candidate for surgery. And then an absolute cutoff is that if you have a BMI of 40 or over, then you are a candidate for surgery, even if you don't have any medical conditions. So those are kind of like some cutoffs there, okay? Or some guidelines. So if someone has tried the foundational interventions, such as they've honestly tried to change their diet, if they have, been exercising and they've addressed any other behavioral issues such as having sleep apnea or having sleep problems is really important, or they have an issue with, I'm binge eating, or just have some behavioral issue and they've addressed that and they've not been able to lose weight, then it's like, well, medication might help you. And here's the thing, when it comes to medication and then also to some extent surgery, and I'll talk about that in a second, but with medication, all it does is helps you be comfortable not eating. Okay, that's what it does, and it does in different ways. There's a number of medications that are on the are FDA approved for weight loss. In the last 4 to 5 years, there's been a buzz about the GLP-1 medications, but even before that, we had Phentermin, we had Qsymia, Contrave. There's a number of other ones that are no longer on the market. Back in the 90s, they had Fen-Phen, which was the fenfluramine Phentermin combination. But Phentermin by itself actually is still FDA approved and it's safe. And then there was also, I think, Leucaserin, that's off the market. But my point is this, is that medications just helps a patient to feel comfortable not eating. And in order to lose weight, you have to not eat. We lose weight by not eating. We maintain our weight loss and muscle mass by not eating and exercise. So when it comes to surgery, it's the same thing, but just a little bit more drastic because the surgeries that are available to help patients with weight loss are gastric sleeves, gastric bypass, and then the gastric sleeve with duodenal switch. So the gastric sleeve is primarily restrictive. You go from having a water bag for a stomach to having a little banana. And then with the gastric bypass, you go from having a water bag for a stomach to having a stomach that's the size of maybe like a I was gonna say golf ball, but it's smaller. And then, so it's restrictive, but then you also have a component where you're malabsorbing, so you can't eat that much to begin with. And then when you do eat, it's not all absorbed, so you lose weight. And then the duodenal switch is even more malabsorptive. So it's a continuum, because it's a continuum of problems that patients have with their weight. So if someone has a BMI of 30, no medical problems, they may only need Phentermine to help them to feel comfortable not eating. But then when I have patients who have BMIs of 50 or 60, and they really have a couple of 100 pounds that would help them to be healthier and increase their health span and lifespan, then they might be looking at having a duodenal switch. And I have referred some patients to have that done because I thought that was the best thing for them. Or if I evaluate a patient and they're young, let's say that they're like in their early 20s and they have BMI that's approaching 50, I'm like, ooh, you could do medication, but you probably would benefit more so from surgery because it's going to last you longer. If you have surgery when you're 20, then your cost per surgery per year is a lot less than if you take medication from the time you're 20 until you 80 or so on and so forth. So, you know what? I forgot the question. I was just talking. I'm gonna stop right there. I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about how to approach weight.
I will talk a hole in your head if you let me. So I'm just like, what was I saying? What was the question again?
Oh, and this is a part of menopause, y'all. We'll go from one end, and then we'll forget and keep going, and then it's like, I done fell off. Okay. So it's okay. You're having a little menopause brain.
That's
so
okay.
It's okay.
Okay.
Trust me, it's okay.
Right now.
I'll get a sip, girl. So, is there a misconception about bariatric medicine being extreme or a last resort?
So here's the thing, and that has to do with weight bias. It's slowly changing, but we're such a weight biased society. So this is how obesity is a disease. It's very complex with lots of inputs. But if we view obesity as a disease, then it changes how we view treatment. So let's just say someone has cancer, okay? And that person could do nothing at all, and they would die eventually. They could have chemotherapy or medication that could potentially kill the cancer, but it could potentially come back. Or they could have surgery and get rid of the cancer and be cured. Well, is surgery a last resort? No, it's a cure, right? So it's a good treatment. So if someone has obesity, they could do nothing and then end up having all of the medical problems that will definitely at some point happen with obesity. They could have medication that will treat them, but it requires ongoing. But it's still, taking one medication or maybe a combination to lose weight and maintain weight instead of taking umpteen because you're managing all of the medical problems that you have because of your obesity. And then patients who have weight loss surgery, they end up losing tens, hundreds of pounds. And is it a cure? No, but it's a really good treatment, and it still has to be maintained because having surgery that changes your anatomy, and so on and so forth. So that's not a last resort, and sometimes it should be the first resort. Unfortunately, the way our medical system is set up, it ends up being that you have to show that you failed medical intervention with diet and exercise. I mean, if somebody has a BMI of 50, diet and exercise is not going to help them because they probably have binge eating or they have a lot of stuff going on, and surgery is going to help them to not eat.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, that's the reason why it's deemed as the last resort is because we still have so much weight bias. I wish everyone who is a candidate for weight loss surgery could have it right now, right? Because that is our best tool. And second to that are medications. Well, medications are really good because they've actually put a dent in the weight loss surgery numbers. My poor bariatric surgery colleagues are suffering because the medications work so well. I've had patients to lose 100 pounds on taking GLP medication. So basically, I'm calling in this analogy the weight loss medications, a form of chemotherapy, where surgery is also a possibility as well. And so they have their pros and cons, but to not treat it is not an option. You gotta do something.
So you said that the GLPs are pretty much more taken over than the surgery because
not taking over, put a dent into it.
Okay.
So a lot of patients who would have had weight loss surgery, they have been able to lose weight with the GLP medications. These medications are highly active. There's more on the horizon. They put a larger dent in the weight problem than the previous medications did. So like with phentermine, topiramate, and then with Contrave or Wellbutrin, naltrexone, you're going to get 10% or less body weight loss. So with surgery, patients usually lose about the best outcome is going to be about 20, maybe 23 to 25% body weight loss. Well, Zepbound, tirzepatide, patients are getting upwards of 23% of the body weight loss. That's surgical weight loss, And I've had patients to lose, 140 pounds taking tirzepatide. So it's a thing. So if someone's like, oh, I can take an injection once a week and not have surgery, that's a good option for them as long as they have access to it, because we discussed this earlier, is that if you need medication to lose weight, you will need medication to maintain your weight loss categorically. Because when it comes to medically supervised weight loss, when you're taking medications, there are all these switches in our brain, in our hypothalamus, that tell us to eat or not eat, and the different inputs. So basically, it's like you're when you take these medications or something, you're switching on certain things, and the output is that, oh, yeah, I'm at this party, but I don't eat everything that's on my plate, or you're switching things off. And so if you take a medication and it flips that switch so that you just don't feel the need to eat when you're not hungry, if you take away that input, eventually the switch is back on and you're going to want to eat. And I've seen it happen a number of times where patients had access to GLPs and then their insurance stopped covering it or what have you, and they ended up gaining all of the weight back and then some. No. So that's why, I have some patients that'll come and see me and they'll say, oh, I just want to lose weight for my daughter's wedding, and then I'll stop it. Or I can't afford, if it's not covered by insurance, oh, I can't afford more than 3 months, but I'm gonna do. I'm like, no. There's no reason to start that, because don't start, no one be none. Because if you can't be on it, and maintain it indefinitely, then you're not doing yourself a service, because you might lose weight while you're on it and then you gain it back. And weight cycling, whenever you lose weight, your metabolism drops down. That's a known thing. And so if you lose weight and you don't maintain your weight loss through your habits, exercise, watching your diet, and so forth, eventually you're gaining it back, because that switch in your brain is going to switch back on. You're going to want to eat everything. And so that's why when I see patients, I'm like, hey, we're going to be friends for a long time, because yes, I can help you lose weight. And then, but everybody can lose weight. It's the maintaining your weight loss that's hard. Everybody can lose weight. I believe everybody can do it. Everybody has. But it's the maintaining of it. And so when it comes to maintaining weight loss, that's where these medications come into play. And even with surgery, it's not a end-all be-all. It's a good treatment, but it requires maintenance as well. So if somebody has surgery and they lose, weight, but they start gaining, you have surgery, you lose weight, your obesity, which is a disease, goes into remission. And then when you start gaining weight, because it's going to happen, then you're out of remission. So if you're out of remission, if you don't do something to correct that, you might eventually gain back the weight that your surgery helped you to lose. And I've seen that happen too. I've seen patients lose 100 pounds after having surgery and gain 100 pounds back. And I'm like, oh, so when that person has gained, I have some patients who've had weight loss surgery because that ended up being the best thing for them. And I'm like, okay, you're losing, but if you stop losing and if you start to gain, then this is an emergency. That means that not only did you have the surgery, but we also probably have to add on some medications to help you to that switch that was flipped off from the surgery, boop, it's back on again, and you want to eat. And so I have patients, usually it's my patients who have binge eating disorder. About 25% of patients who undergo weight loss surgery have binge eating disorder. So usually if I have a patient who's able to gain weight after having surgery, we have a conversation about, hey, are you binging? So there's specific treatments for that as well. So it's good treatment, but it requires maintenance. It's not a one and done. It's like you have to maintain that. And so I just want to implore to your audience is that there's a whole bunch of options when it comes to managing your weight before menopause, during menopause, and afterwards. And it's just really being honest with yourself about what's possible for you, what your habits are, and then getting help with that.
Do you approach weight management different for a person that's going through menopause and andropause compared to say a regular person?
No, not really. I don't manage patients I don't manage the male and female hormones. The only hormone that if I'm working with is going to be having to do with giving exogenous hormones to help patients lose weight. So, but I think the main thing is acknowledging it. Okay. And so as a female gastroenterologist and bariatrician, I see primarily women in my practice. I do see men, but acknowledging it, saying, hey, yeah, you're exactly right. You've gone through menopause and things are different. You are exactly right. Because I think that the confirmation that you're not crazy, it is not all in your head. This is really happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main thing. And then we discussed this earlier about things that we do to like things to not eat or things that we need to do to help to offset that, and discussing that and saying, hey, listen, you're in this, because most women are people who are in menopause and even andropause. Again, I do mostly menopause, so I can't really talk that specifically about the male hormones.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, they're usually in their 40s, have families, are gone through a divorce, working, all kind of things. And so acknowledging, hey, not only are you going through these physical changes, but you're taking care of kids, and your parents are this, that, and the other. And so I think the acknowledgement of that, yes, you are experiencing this. This is not in your brain, in your head, excuse me, and that there's a plan. And we can create a plan, something that you're able to do in order to feel better and to improve your health span and lifespan. My favorite thing is that when someone's like, yeah, I lost weight and now I can do X, Y, and Z. Play with my grandkids. I had one patient who lost weight. She had an issue. She walked with a cane and she couldn't go very far, had back pain. Over the course of a year, we helped her lose 90 pounds. And she's like, "Oh, Scott, I was able to go to Six Flags with my grandkids, and I walked all over, rode rides, and I didn't need my cane."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "This is the best thing ever," you know. Or,
Yes.
"Oh, I'm able to, get on a plane and not ask for a seatbelt extender."
Wow.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yes.
I'm able to, now that I'm sleeping better at night because I'm exercising, or I stopped drinking and I noticed that my midsection is an inch shorter. Because one thing when it comes to that menopausal, tire is that having, for women, having a waist circumference of 35 or higher increases your risk of heart disease. And then for men, it's like 40. And so I actually measure patients' waist. And so when they've like, oh, the scale's not moving, measure their waist, and it's like, oh, you lost an inch in your waist. I did? I was like, yeah. I'll say, aren't your clothes fitting differently? Don't you need some new underwear? They're like, oh yeah, it's kind of loose. So, okay, there we go again with that menopause thing. What was the question again? What was the question again? I was talking. Oops.
Well, shoot, heck, well, let me find, where is the question there? Oh, do you approach different for the menopausal patients compared to the regular patients?
Again, it's just acknowledging it. Just acknowledging it.
Okay. Oh, gosh. So what emotional or psychological challenges do you often see in women or men dealing with menopause or andropause and weight gain?
That's interesting. I don't know that this is specific to menopause and andropause. I think it's more so dealing with trauma. Okay. So there's this thing called ACEs, adverse childhood events. And the more ACEs you have, the increase your risk of having obesity as an adult. And sometimes those things crop up as we get older. And so things happen to you in your formative years or early years, and you somehow survive and get through. But as you age, that stuff kind of festers. And then it pops up when you're, can't sleep at night, because not getting good sleep or having adequate restorative sleep is a risk factor for having excess weight or obesity. So I think it's more so that as we age, you kind of consider your life, and it's more so. Sometimes there is untreated anxiety, depression. People say I'm stressed, but it's really trauma. So I think a lot of it's like reckoning themselves with the life they're leading and being peaceful with that, or having the courage to change it. So I think it's not necessarily, this is for everyone, but dealing with trauma and how that may manifest as we enter into the menopause and andropause decades of our life.
So how can they show their self-compassion during that transition?
Yeah. So check this out. So if you never were taught how to be compassionate, then that's what therapy is for. Love therapy, because that's actually being your own best friend. So I used to weigh like, I think my highest was like 260 something. And when I see pictures of myself, now, I say, oh, poor baby, she was going through so much. She just had like a whole bunch of kids and she was working and on call and all that stuff. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, she was so fat. I'm like, no, she was going through. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so I
Yes.
think looking at yourself in a way is like, boy, or even like even if you're looking in the mirror, it's like, girl, what's going on? Or what can we do today to be better? But I think it's kind of changing your self-talk, and that may have to be something that you're taught with the help of a professional that can help you deal with your stuff, so that you can be more compassionate. This is not a patient that was a weight loss patient. It was a patient that I saw for a GI problem a long time ago. And so, in talking to her, I realized I was like, she was really down on herself. And I said, I think you need to see a therapist. She was like, she had I think she might have had like reflux or something. I don't remember what it was. And so I gave her the name of a therapist, and she saw her, and then came back and follow up. And she was like, oh, I learned some things about myself. And I was like, what'd you learn? She was like, well, I learned that I don't really like myself that much. And I was like, huh. I was like, but that was explaining a lot, because you're not really being nice to yourself because you like yourself. And I said, once you like yourself and can appreciate yourself, then you're going to be a whole lot nicer to yourself,
Yeah.
And so I think it's just accepting that acceptance, like this is life. And, it's even the serenity prayer. It's like, grant me the wisdom to accept things that I can change what I can, whatever it is. But basically, it's just like acceptance. And that might take professional help to get there.
Yeah.
And so don't be afraid to say, you know what? Let me examine some things. I always say therapy helps us to understand what we feel, do what we do, and think what we think. And so if someone is thinking poorly of themselves, not but that's how you think, if they feel some kind of way, anxious, depressed, and they're not doing the things they need to do, habits, eating well, getting sleep, then we have to examine that.
Yeah.
Because if somebody was going to be able to do it on his or her own, they would do it. So anything that's worth doing well, you should get help from a professional, and that's everything.
Yeah, because sometimes a lot of people, women with families, women without families, you tend to lose yourself and into your family, or lose yourself into wherever else, maybe your work or whatnot. And either you can deal with weight gain or weight loss, because you can lose yourself in those things. And you want to be compassionate to yourself, and you want to look at yourself and be able to say, hey, okay, I gained this weight because of this, this, and this, and you figure out how to change it. Or I lost this weight because of this, and you got to try to figure out how to change it. Prayer helps a lot. So prayer, reading your word, just being compassionate to yourself, and talking to your doctor about different things, or talking to your therapist about different things, it helps a lot. So, compassion is everything. For women and men who feel like they're tried everything, what do you recommend? Where do you recommend they start?
So if someone thinks that on their own they have tried everything, and we're talking about to lose weight, yeah. So you need to see a professional, and it may not be your primary care. It may be seeing an obesity medicine specialist, someone who can say, okay, so but basically someone tells me, I've tried everything. I'm like, oh really, what did you try? And I ask them, like, what did you try?
Yes.
I want to know what you tried. And so to know that, did they actually really try everything? And so so I think seeing a specialist who can like walk you through how you got to this point, and then help you carve a path out, or to, like, going back to my quicksand analogy, it's like, hey, let's ask for somebody to throw you a rope so they can pull you out and shake you off and say, hey, this is how you do quicksand. So I think that's really important. And so just getting to a place of understanding, because unfortunately, we don't have the problem is big, pun intended, but we don't have enough people trained to really adequately address the problem. But the short answer is get professional help.
Okay. Okay. What are some red flags that weight gain might be linked to more than just menopause or andropause?
So that has to do so that has to do with the location of the weight gain, the rapidity of it. So if someone like things that can cause weird abnormal weight gain, thyroid problems. It's a real thing, and that ends up being where someone is tired all the time, might lose hair, thinning of the eyebrows. So if someone has cortisol excess, that could be due to having an adrenal problem, and so they end up, getting hairier and maybe midsection problems, midsection weight, trunk obesity. If a woman, who's in her 40s rapidly gets a distended abdomen, I'm like, get your ovaries checked if you still have them, because that could be a sign of having an ovary problem. So I think that it has to do with, or if someone gains weight in their legs only and a lot of edema, it's like maybe you have a problem with that. So I think the location of it, the rapidity of weight gain, so those are pretty specific instances. But if someone gains weight all over their body, everywhere is getting larger, it's not edema or fluid, and they honestly can say, oh well, yeah, I've actually have been having cookies every day, or so but that's different.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I don't know why I'm gaining weight, because it's all right here, or it happened and they can show where it happened the last month or something. That could be a hormonal thing, but it's not that many things that can cause it. If it's like, oh, one thing I do is that if I have access to it and the patient has been in the system for a while, I graph their weight. And so it tells a big story about their weight gain. And so if someone's like, oh, I can't seem to lose weight, I look at their weight graph and I can see that if they're continuously gaining weight, if they've gained weight over the course of a year, 5 years, or a decade, or if they are just maintaining. And so sometimes whenever I see a slow slope where from point A to B, it's just a slow little angle up there, I'm like, oh, that person's an exercise. If it's just straight, I'm like, oh, they're not gaining weight, but they're maintaining what they have. Now, they could be maintaining at a weight of 270, but that tells me that the positive and weight positive and weight negative forces are equal. Or if someone has a straight incline where their weight really goes straight up, I'm like, are they having binge? So basically, it's the pattern of weight gain or the rapidity of it is really important to assess. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What's one myth about menopause and weight that you wish more people understood?
The myth that it's inevitable and you can't do anything about it. So we can. For instance, with my, but the earlier you prepare for it, the better off you'll be. For instance, with my girls, I'm telling them now, I'm like, oh, yes, you're only in your teenage years and you have potential childbearing coming up and stuff, but I've been in practice for 21 years. So in 20 years, my kids will be looking at menopause. So I want them to know the way to start that is making sure that you curb your sweet tooth now, that you're exercising,
Yes.
and that you're taking care of yourself. So I think this myth that you can't do anything about it, no, you can. It's going to require help, and the help is available.
Okay. Okay.
It's not inevitable that you're going to have it, and even if you get caught out there, there's treatment for it.
Cool. So what is your top piece of advice for women or men trying to reclaim control of their health during menopause or andropause?
Exercise.
Exercise.
It's medicine. And so exercise is medicine, and you got to take it every day. Because I know It's medicine. It is medicine, and you can dose it different ways. But I think that being sedentary is the new smoking. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing it, and even right now. You probably should have been standing up doing this podcast, but I'm just saying is that movement is so important.
Okay.
And I think that if someone could do nothing else, if they could only do one thing, I would say it's exercise, because it does so many different things for your body. So if someone didn't change anything and the only change was their physical activity, that would be enough to make some changes in their quality of life.
Wow. Okay. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to this and that everybody needs to know about?
Are we done yet? Are we get ready to end?
Well, yeah, we almost done. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. So, no. I mean, I think really and truly that the main thing is that it's gonna happen. This is really happening. Prepare yourselves for it, and you're not alone. Get help from your primary care doctor. I don't know if they have specific specialists that help men with andropause, but they definitely have menopause experts. There's this thing called the Menopause Society where you can actually go and find someone who is trained in helping women with that, and talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it like this. Talk about it. Normalize talking about it. So I'll give you a little small anecdote. I have my fans, and I could be talking to my male colleagues, and I'll just fan out some sweat, and I just have my fan right there. Why? Because this is something that I'm going through, and they need to recognize that. And so it's not hush hush. Don't say anything. It's like, no, your women all around them are going through this, and so I think talking about it is really important, just like this podcast.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I don't know if there are specific doctors that deal with just the andropause, like she was saying, there are menopause doctors, but I will research and find that out, men, if it is somebody that is specific for andropause. And if so, then I will let you all know, because that is important. Y'all need to know that too. So I would like to thank you so much for coming on. She's such a nut. I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. I'd like to thank you for taking your time out. Time is so important, and it's very short. And so I appreciate your time for being here and talking to us and letting audience know about weight gain and weight loss and the things that they can do. And yes, I'm very happy about that. Is there a way that people can get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm accepting new patients, GI and weight management, and so my office number is 469-800-6580. And you can Google Terrell and Scott Winfall. I'm not going to mention my employer's name but you can just Google me, and I'll be happy to see you. It's great. So I'd love to see you.
Okay, thank you so much. So y'all, on our next episode, August 31st, we will have Kendra Timmons. She is a certified trichologist. She's also a certified holistic health practitioner, and we will be talking about hair loss in menopause, hair loss or scalp issues in menopause. So you can follow me on all platforms. You can subscribe on YouTube. I am also on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this helped you a lot. And you all be easy.
You tune it in to Funky Disposition, where menopause meets the mood swings. Real talk and good vibes. Hot flashes, cold truths, it's a funky ride. Let's talk